All right, I finally got a chance to get inside the studio to get a proper response down. This is an open digital letter. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a video and speak what's on my mind in a response to the uproar, the negativity, the attacks going on both sides regarding firmware update 6.2, which is the incorporation of Blackmagic Raw and the removal of CinemaDNG. So let me just start off by saying, ever since I started the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K tech blog, I've had great support from Blackmagic Design. I've been in contact with their PR reps since the beginning, and it's been a great relationship. So let's just put that there, okay? I've been a supporter, and I know that they support my efforts too. With that said, I know in the first few hours that this firmware was incorporated, I saw many people posting videos, landscapes, out their windows of buildings and whatnot. And yes, many prominent figures in forums and groups initially stated that it was softer, creamier, more cinematic, whatever synonym makes you feel better. Because I know words are loaded, okay? Initially, that was the response from the community. There wasn't this uproar. And trust me, I have the receipts to prove it. But I'm not going to publicly shame anybody because they have since backtracked and have now said the opposite. I started the blog because I really was passionate about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I mean, it was such a revolutionary camera. Not only for the tech specs, but also the software. I mean, having CinemaDNG Raw in the camera, shooting, 60 frames per second on 4:1 compression ratio externally to an SSD. I mean, that was unheard of. I mean, this is a great, monumental, game-changing camera. So I really wanted to always test when I got new equipment or there was a new update. I wanted, whether it's testing out the battery life with the 6.1, I tested it. Why? Because I need to know the capabilities and latitude of the camera. I need to know how long is it going to last? How long does an SSD last? How much can I push? Can I push the grade or the correction? How much is in the highlights and the shadows? How much can be recovered? I mean, the list goes on and on. Why? It's not for shits and kicks. I needed to know because when I'm out there, if I'm on set or out there filming, I need to know my equipment. I think that's extremely responsible to know your equipment and to know the weaknesses, to know the strengths of your equipment, to know what you're getting into to produce the best quality product that you can. That's what you're there for. So I released the Superman article. Okay. I did the test in studio, controlled lighting. I listed everything that I used, the ISO, the setting on the lens, and people started. You took two sides on the situation. One, people accepted it, the findings, and said, you know what? Yes, it's softer. It's softer. Okay. On the other side, people just attacked the test. I mean, they attacked the equipment used in the test. Mind you, the same lens was used for both codecs. Everything was the same for both. People attacked the Viltrox. And let me just get this straight, okay? I published a blind test with the Viltrox, the Metabones, and two native Micro Four Thirds, which removes one more piece of glass before the sensor. And people failed to even properly recognize the native lenses. People often mistook the softer images as Viltrox, and they were either the Voigtlander 17.5, which is a legendary lens, or the SLR Magic 25mm, because we get this impression in our minds, soft, sharp, cinematic, creamy, and all these things. But when we see something without a label, without somebody telling you what it is, our eyes naturally accept what is typically the opposite of what we've been told. So all that happened. I was not only attacked because of the Superman, but then I also released a chart. Okay. People want to knock it and whatnot, but the chart shows it. It shows the increased, and an increase just means more. Now, whatever level you want to say, significantly, negligible, slightly, minutia, whatever you want to say, there is aliasing and moire, and increased in all of Braw's flavors compared to CinemaDNG. Then people want to attack DaVinci Resolve. What setting was it set? It was across the board. There was no specific setting set up. But you see what happened is that people want to attack the test because it goes against what they've already come to believe to be true. I even saw somebody post this cute little chart about this acceptance and rejection, or first the initial rejection and then the eventual acceptance of technology, of like change. It's like they're giving you what you really want but don't want right now. It's like no means yes today. It's like, I don't buy that because there's a bigger problem. It's not just the fact that Braw was introduced, and that's not the problem, you see. Just get this, please listen to this. My problem is not that Braw was introduced or that Braw is not on par, in my book, with CinemaDNG. That's not the point. But looking at Braw closely, and I've tested extensively. Why? Because I need to know, and not all of us need to know. Some of us are just fine getting a camera, putting the setting because we watched a guy with 50,000 likes, and we believe whatever they say. We believe their word as gospel. But in my estimation, in my conclusion, Braw is equal with ProRes HQ. It is. 3.1, Braw 3.1, and Braw Q0 are on par with ProRes HQ. The problem with that statement is that Braw is a 12-bit codec. ProRes HQ is a 10-bit. Now just let that sink in a little bit. Work that out on your own. You could figure that part out. And I know Mr. Petty says on this video announcement that the reason is because of either potential litigation or there's litigation going on. And CinemaDNG is downplayed as obsolete. It's amazing because it was 12-bit CinemaDNG Raw that put them on the map, that put them against in video comparisons, that won me over when they're being compared to Ari and Red, and they're holding their own. I mean, that this technology, this development, this incorporation into a budget-friendly camera with an amazing color science is really, in my book, what put them on my map and allowed me to make those purchases of the first generation Pocket and the cinema camera, which, you know, someone's gonna have to pry from my dead cold hands because I love the look. It's for my personal taste, and you can tear that part apart about what look means to the nth degree. But for me, there's bigger repercussions. But for those that get paid, now you got to deal with clients. Okay, this is where Braw, CinemaDNG, Red Code, Ari Raw, and you name it, the list goes on and on of codecs, goes out the window because it's up to the client. The client will tell you what codec they want. So it may not even be an issue. What can be an issue is the acceptance of Braw, because now you're introducing a whole new codec, and maybe they have mixed footage. Maybe they're going to try to say, hey, you know what? No, it's not going to work with Red Code, and it's not going to match. And because then now you're only stuck. And I say stuck unless you do a downgrade, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now your option is either Braw or ProRes. And you may end up getting into that discussion that Braw is truly not raw, which there's plenty of articles online that break that all down for you. And in time, the pros and cons will be discovered. I mean, there's just no way around it. And that goes for anything. You're going to discover the weaknesses and the strengths of it. Also, recently, rumors have been posted about Netflix getting prepared to release the acceptance of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K with 3.1 up to 4.1 accepted as an approved camera. Now, currently, right now, on paper, looking at how they did the Ursa Mini Pro for the Netflix, it is approved up to 4.1. And so you also have an option with ProRes, But you're kind of limiting yourself now. And I don't know if Netflix is truly going to incorporate the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, or if they're going to accept Braw, or if they're going to have to do a whole new round of testing on that. But that's something else to consider for some of you out there who may be trying to get picked up by Netflix for an original. That's something to be considering. And keep this in mind also. The fact that CinemaDNG in this camera was such a threat to this big box camera company that, retails like at $30,000 and up for just the box itself, that it warranted them to either pursue or threaten or just send a letter of cease and desist based on a patent violation, validates its worth. I mean, has that crossed your mind to sit there and think, wait a minute. So CinemaDNG, inside this camera, they're going to call them now. They didn't call them on the Pocket. They didn't call them on the cinema camera. I mean, this company has gone after other companies in the past when they felt, threatened by a potential new model. But now this camera comes out and it's blowing people away. And then now it's something that becomes either, like I said, either a threat of litigation or a notice of the patent violation. So to me, they wouldn't go after it if it was truly an obsolete software. You go after, in litigation, something that's worth something. If you want to cripple your competitor, you go after what's most highly prized, the thing that makes them a threat. Do I think this other big box company is threatened by Braw? Hell to the no. I don't believe they feel threatened at all by that. But these are things that we got to be thinking about. Why would this big box camera company go after this specific feature? Oh, because they've held a patent? They've held it for a while. It's nothing new. As I said, they didn't go after it in other previous incarnations. They went after it in this specific camera. Because you're talking, it's a camera that's $1,295. Just think about that. That big box camera company, one of their recording medias of like 256 is probably that much. Their 4.7 monitor is about that much. So how do you cripple your competitors? You go after what's valued. You go after something that's a threat. You don't go after, the little calf. No, you go after the bull. The bull that's going to knock you off your block. That's my take. That's my impression. And I feel bad. I feel bad because I think in order to allow us or to cause us to accept this, DNG had to be downplayed as being obsolete. But he did mention that the removal was a negative. I'm not sure what that means. Would have been nice if it could have been grandfathered in to the cameras that have already been released and then just do it from that point forward. Go, okay, we're going to remove it. So that way when consumers are buying cameras now, they know what they're getting. I mean, for God's sakes, on the box itself, it not only lists ProRes, prominently, right there on the face of the box, that it has ProRes, but also CinemaDNG Raw. Why? To attract customers to the features that you're giving them with their purchase. To simply remove it is a sin in my book. Also, one thing you need to consider, toggling the downgrade. So going between 6.1 and 6.2 is something that is not encouraged by Blackmagic Design. I'm not sure why. No explanation was given. Not even sure if they've released an official statement. But I do know that is something that's been mentioned, at least to me. And at the end of the day, use what works for you and stop the attacks. If it's such a big deal to you, then you know what? Do a test, conduct a test, and list all the specs, just as I do, and post them. If proving that I'm wrong and many others are wrong, then show a test. Don't just say, that's not true. You're a hater. You should sell your camera then. Why do you even have this blog? I mean, it just becomes elementary. It's like we are better than that, I think. We are already on the outskirts to a certain degree of the big boys, of the people that are selling cameras. You know, some of these boxes alone with no lens mount, with no recording media, you know, surprised they even have an AC adapter, sell for, you know, you could buy a brand new car for that much. Some of them you could buy a brand new Tesla. You know, some of these are going for $100,000. And here we are with their $1,295 camera doing amazing things. And don't cop out and say, look, it's not about, you know, raw. It's about the story. It's about proper lighting. And you know what? You don't need, and you know, okay, think about this. Let me put it to you this way. Critique and oversight as a consumer, in my book, is mandatory. Because I don't know how you guys were raised, but I was raised, you don't let people take your lunch money. And for me, I paid $1,295. Nobody gave it to me. It wasn't because I have a relationship with Blackmagic. I paid for my camera, and I paid for it based on the features that were advertised. Not for them to be stripped away at a later date. And you can sit there and say, it's not Blackmagic's fault. Well, then Blackmagic, knowing it was another company's patent, should have never put it in. Or they should have worked out a deal. But I don't think a deal will be, you know, forthcoming based on the fact that that company has so much to lose against this $1,295 powerhouse. I'm in love with this camera. I'm passionate about this camera. So no, you just can't come in and take my lunch money. I'll keep 6.1. I'll keep it as long as I can. Maybe at a later date, they'll make a firmware update where we just can't, you know, once you go up, you won't be able to go back down. I don't know. But the point is use whatever works for you. If you feel that your clients or for your hobby, that Braw is it. I mean, here's another thing too. I think in the breakdown, the Blackmagic's breakdown of each of the codecs, explaining it to us in simple terms, I think one of them is just like for recreational videos. I was like, did you just downgrade this entire camera to like a family camcorder? I mean, the title itself says cinema camera. I mean, none of this stuff I'm saying is like made up. It's strange that it sounds like it could be made up, but it's not. I mean, we want professional codecs. Whether you're a hobbyist or professional or semi-professional. And I hope you guys that are making the conversion to Braw, and that's fine. I mean, I don't think the people that are proponents of Braw, I don't think they're bad people. I don't think they're uneducated. I don't think they're idiots. I mean, I've seen a bunch of name calling on forums and groups. I don't think bad of you. I don't hate you. I don't have any negative feelings. I think good for you, man. It works for you. It works for your needs. And at the end of the day, that's what each of us has to do. The same way we choose lenses, the same way we choose whatever focal reducer, speed booster, whatever you want to call them, you choose what works for you. Nobody is here to stand on their soapbox and tell another person, you're doing it wrong, I'm doing it right. I'm better than you, you suck. Okay? Because only through critiquing and criticism and honesty of manufacturers as consumers will we actually progress and make the industry better. Not just taking whatever they decide to do and saying, well, you know, like you know, being a little dog next to a table taking scraps. And I have a ton of respect for Blackmagic Design. Don't get me wrong. I will continue to support them. But that doesn't mean that I can't sit there and say, I have a different opinion as a consumer, as a user, as a supporter of your products. And maybe my hope is that at a later date, they'll be able to reincorporate it. Maybe, you know, lightning will strike twice and they'll be able to cut a deal with this big company and put it back into our cameras. Or at least provide a true RAW codec for us. Anyways, I don't want to take too much more of your time, but happy shooting. And you know what? Keep the magic alive. Take care.